Hello everybody, Shannon Bryant, Virtual and Blended Learning Coordinator here in Keller ISD. And this video is the fourth video in a four-part series about co-seating. In this video, we are specifically going to address summative assessments when co-seating. So before you test, of course, know who's testing. That can be difficult with your remote students. So making sure that the cameras are on while they're testing, making sure that they know that ahead of time, maybe making a virtual background so that they don't have to worry about anybody distracting the rest of the class in their home or having people see their messy bedroom. But either way, make sure you know who is in the room testing. Provide a contract. This is a great thing to do before you test so that students are aware of the expectation, what is and is not allowed when they test in your room. You can have them pull up that contract and go over it with them on the day of testing. I would have both parents and students sign this. And then set class expectations. What are you going to let them use for this test? Resources such as a dictionary, their cell phone, not using their cell phone. Got to think about all those different things, calculators, notes. What do you want them to have access to? Consider this, when you're creating your test, making it so, no matter what they use, you're still getting good data back from them too. Not to say you are not going to enforce the rules, but that way, if someone does pull something over on you, you have a test that reflects what they know. For example, in math, I traditionally give multiple choice and some free response. But in a co-seating situation with my remote students, I would probably have more free response. So I'm going to give that same type of test to my students that are face-to-face. Now, during the test, first I want you to back up and remember, even when you had all your kids face-to-face when they tested, you probably still had some that did manage to get away with some cheating. And what did you do back then? You tried your very best to stop it and confront it if it did happen. Well, nothing's changed. Just make sure you keep their cameras on, you monitor and record. So when you are working with your students that are taking their test through Zoom, you might want to project their screens on your board and then have all your students that are in class turn around and face the back wall. That way you can see your Zoom students on your dry erase board projected on a nice large screen to accommodate everybody, and your students that are face-to-face are facing the back wall so they won't be looking directly at the students that are Zooming. Require an online submission of their thinking. For example, I tell students that they need to upload their work that went along with that test. I have a place for them in Canvas to upload it, and I tell them that it's not so I can catch them in cheating, because they're just going to find a way to work around that, right? It's really there as a backup plan. Let's say they click one of the multiple choices incorrectly, but they have that work down on their paper showing that they would have meant to pick a different letter. So the work that they submit is a backup for them. If you're teaching another content, maybe it's not their work, but it's a justification of why they chose the way that they did. Last, consider after testing. How are you going to go over the test? One thing I like to do is take the 5 most missed questions on the test. I turn that into a Nearpod, and then the next day in class, that's our warm-up. That way I can say that I have given them some good feedback. If you're using test generators that have automatic grading, check and see if there's a way that it can give students the feedback they need quicker. That way they're not having to wait for you to put that in the gradebook. Consider remediation after testing, arranging small groups and have students attend. You might want to look up our alternative schedule for co-seating, because we've got some ways that you can work with small groups in that type of setting. And then lastly, I've done something I call a fun quiz, where I take the quiz, I gave it to my students in a Nearpod the following day, and then I controlled that Nearpod. And I said, if you get a question that you don't know, put everything you do know about that concept in one really good high-level question. Then I could remediate as we went through the quiz. You can do that with just the top 5 most missed questions or the whole quiz. I hope you found this video useful, and if you have, like it and please subscribe.